the firm I was working for was sending me to a conference, but I was the only one going. So I could not just hang with my coworkers and feel safe. I was going to be in rooms full of strangers. It's not enough to just be an architect, a creative professional. The real question is, what are you doing? How are you making an impact if you don't know how to answer that question, or you feel too overwhelmed, stressed out, or burned out to even think about it? I'll help you get beyond the status quo trap in our profession to get inspired again. If you're ready, let's get architecting. Hey there, bright lights. It is fall, and fall is one of two major conference seasons. People tend not to have conferences a whole lot over the November through February months because it's winter, it's many holidays happening. They also don't tend to plan conferences so much in the summer, but boy, spring and fall, you get hit. I am attending 5 different conferences in September and October. I am speaking at 3 of them. So there's a lot going on here for me. And this is something that I get so many questions on, whether I am talking to colleagues or mentoring people either at GBBN where I work or through the mentoring programs that I'm a part of. Everybody wants to know how you can successfully attend a conference. While ostensibly conferences are about learning something new, we also attach a lot of meaning to building professional relationships, expanding our network, maybe having a chance to schmooze a little bit with existing clients or get other opportunities. So there's a lot that gets asked of us when we attend a conference. This episode, I am going to answer some of your questions about conferences because I'm a veteran conference goer and I go to multiple conferences every year. I like to joke that you could make attending conferences a full-time job if you wanted to, because there's something going on almost every day of the year. So let's go ahead and get started. Our first question came in from Brandon, and Brandon wants to know how you can go to conferences more economically because, ouch, a lot of these conferences have fairly hefty price tags. But that just gets you the conference. You still have to travel to whatever city the conference is in. You still have to book a hotel. You still have to book a flight or drive your car. There's a lot of other hidden costs that go into attending a conference that can be doubling or sometimes even almost tripling your cost to go to the conference, including food costs. So the first thing that I would say is judge a conference by its value to you. Don't worry about where it's located as much as how valuable it is for you to attend that conference. But then once you've committed that this is one you want to go to, make sure that you look at the conference program. Many conferences will include meals. So the morning of each day of the conference, there's often a free breakfast. There can be free lunches offered often in the exhibit hall, but hey, it's free. And a lot of times at night, there are receptions that have very hearty appetizers and free drinks and or vendors or other firms or contractors may host parties where there's also food. So make sure you do that homework because food costs can add up really quickly for conferences. And if you plan it right, you aren't going to have to buy too many meals on your own. The next thing you want to really look at is lodging. Conferences will often direct you to a hotel or hotels where they will tell you you get a special rate. I have found that that special rate, one, isn't always so special. Sometimes if you go through other booking services like hotels.com, you could get that same hotel cheaper. But also, there's something to be said for not worrying about staying at the conference hotel. Some people will say that that's good to do because that's where the other conference goers are going to hang out and you're going to run into more people. Really find that to be that true. Most of what's going on is happening at the conference venue itself or happening in designated spaces outside of that venue where they usually provide transportation. So I would say do your research. Again, go to a site like hotels.com, go look at Airbnb. And you can usually find hotels that are within walking distance of the venue that are considerably cheaper per night. And that is going to matter because not only is that fee going to add up over the nights you are there, but there's usually also a lot of taxes and other fees tacked on. So the going rate for the hotel is often not the price you're going to pay. You're going to be paying more than that. Anything you can do to get that base rate down is to your benefit. And again, you want to try to stay within walking distance because if you have to pay for an Uber or a cab every day to get to and from your hotel to the conference venue, or if it's too far away and takes too long, that's not really going to be to your benefit. But definitely do not necessarily accept that you need to stay in the conference hotels or that you're getting the best deal by using the discount code that is provided to you. The next question comes from Lola, and Lola wants to know what my thoughts are on attending a conference even if your work won't pay to send you. Clapping up Lola here for believing enough in whatever the topic is and the conferences that she's willing to go anyway and spend her own money. Good for you, Lola. However, we also don't want to break the bank. If you feel very convicted that you need to be at this conference, by all means go. But if you're going to have to take PTO anyway to attend, I would suggest you plan this conference as your vacation. Take extra time. Maybe you want to spend a few more days in the conference city itself, exploring the city, or maybe you want to travel to a city that is very close to the city where the conference is being held and it's not close to where you live. So by going to the conference, you are getting that extra bang for your buck. Plan to take maybe a week of PTO. That way you can book flights when they're more economical. Pro tip, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are low demand days, so they're going to be the cheapest days to fly in or out of anywhere, and Fridays and Sundays are the most expensive. Take the time to figure out what the best rates are going to be for flying so you can bracket the days of the week that you travel, plan your PTO. Then you get the added bonus of being able to really enjoy that city and to apply whatever budget you might have had for vacation to attending this conference. So you're rolling it all in together. You can also deduct the business expense of your personal travel and hotel over the days of the conference, as well as the conference expenses on your income taxes. If you are traveling, say, with spouse or children, you don't necessarily have to pay more in hotel costs, but they can enjoy some things while you are attending the conference without you. So there's also that added benefit that they get a little extra time to explore the city. Now, Ted asked a question that I get asked a lot. I'm speaking at a conference with one of my clients. How do I network without feeling the pressure to drag the client along with me and babysit them? This is a great question because many times the conferences we might want to go to as an architect or designer are not the same conferences that a client may want to attend. In fact, many times I've had clients say, "What's the day we're speaking? I'll fly out, fly back." Even though they could attend the conference for free as a speaker, they don't even want to attend the conference. They could care less. So if that's the case, you're off the hook because they aren't going to be hanging around, so you don't have to worry about it. On the other hand, if they do decide to attend the whole conference, you don't necessarily have to be responsible for them that entire time. I would suggest you plan one dinner out that is a special occasion and includes that client so that they feel bonded and part of things. And maybe you could meet for breakfast or lunch, but I would really hope that client finds sessions that they find interesting and give them the opportunity to explore a little bit more on their own. They don't necessarily need to be following you around the whole conference to have the best experience. They probably don't even want to go to all the sessions you do and feeling that obligation may be happening for them too. It's good to have that conversation, clear the air that nobody is stapled to anyone's side just because you were the reason that they are at that particular conference. I had a related question come up from Rob, who says, a lot of the conferences we go to, our clients also attend. And we look at this as an opportunity to build a stronger relationship with representatives from that client who are attending the conference. What's the best way to do that? All right, first of all, you don't have to run yourself ragged necessarily trying to have a separate meal with maybe 5 different clients all, multiple times because the conference isn't going to have that many openings. That's exhausting. You can have a client dinner that you sponsor and you invite all of them to be in the same room. And that can be an interesting conversation because sometimes when your clients talk to each other, they're being a lot more honest and they're talking peer to peer and they're having a conversation that they relate to about issues that they relate to. You can pick up a lot of insights being part of those conversations because they're not the same conversations they might have initiated with you. But when someone who is their colleague in the industry is there, they're going to talk about some very different things and you're going to learn something. The other thing that often will happen is the client will maybe compliment you as you're making introductions, and then another client may pile on, or a client that you have a stronger relationship may say some very nice things about you as you're having your conversation that a client who is maybe newer didn't know, but is going to help build trust. We know that the strongest form of marketing is positive word of mouth. So if one client hears another client say something authentic and positive about you and your firm and what it's like to work with you and how successful a project is or how great the research you do is, whatever that is a ringing endorsement that is going to build way more trust and brand credibility for you and your firm than anything you could say. And certainly anything that's going to be put on a website or in any other kind of marketing material. Another opportunity that you get with clients is you can take a photo with them.
in front of, something of note happening at the conference or in the city, and you can share that on social media, and you can talk about how great it is to be there with them and to be learning about something. You pick a topic that's one of the education sessions or a plenary keynote, whatever. And that lets you not only tag the client, but the organization. So again, you are building up that credibility that you know these people, that there's trust, that there's a relationship there. It's real. You're not saying anything that isn't true. You're not exploiting anyone. That shows true connection as opposed to schmoozing around. Also, don't feel that you have to only talk shop with your clients. They're also in a different city. Maybe they're familiar with that city. Maybe they're not. Find out what they know. Find out if they've ever been there before, or if there's things that they're looking forward to seeing or doing in the city. Ask them about things related to their interests. When we connect with people in a level that's not just about business, again, we are building a stronger relationship. We are allowing people to get to know us better and to form a much stronger connection that's going to make them seek us out and really want to work with us, because now they know us. They know what makes us tick, and we know what makes them tick. Don't just stick to official conference stuff, like I said earlier, on the economy plan. If you are at a conference and trying to spend quality time with your clients. All right, the last question that I am going to cover comes from Gina. And Gina says, I'm getting sent to a conference by myself. I am not good at small talk and want tips on how to network. I have been in your shoes, Gina. Many years early in my career, I had the good luck that the firm I was working for was sending me to a conference, but I was the only one going. So I could not just hang with my coworkers and feel safe. I was going to be in rooms full of strangers, and I had to figure that out. It can be really difficult, especially when other people know each other. So they're already calling their friend from across the room, giving them a hug, having a conversation, catching up, and you're just standing there awkwardly. And you add to that the fact that I'm an introvert, so I don't exactly want to get right in the mix and start chatting people up. I had to learn some very pointed skills to make it easier to talk to people I don't know. Now, I have a lot to say specifically about networking at conferences, but before I do that, I did want to let you know, Gina, and anyone else out there who's feeling the pain of being an introvert, trying to leverage your network skillfully, I have put all my best tips into a networking guide that you can get at architectingpodcast.com. There's a link right on the main page. You can click and get your copy right there. It even includes an email template to help you reach out to people for follow-up. So if that sounds like something you're interested in learning more about, go ahead to architectingpodcast.com and make sure you check that out and get a copy. What I found works are a few different things. Lean into the fact that you've never gone to this conference before. You can say things like, have you been to this conference before? This is my first time. What do you recommend to get the most out of the experience? Or you can ask them what sessions they're most excited to attend and share your own sessions that are at the top of your list as must-attend sessions. And then you could talk a little bit more about why. Do you want to go to this session because it's on a topic you're facing on a project you're currently working on? Do you want to go to this session because you've been studying this topic for a long time and you want to hear another point of view and add to your knowledge? Do you want to go to this session because it's something that you don't know anything about, but you think is going to be a really important thing going forward and you want to learn? Share that, and it will start a conversation that feels authentic because you're able to share about yourself, your interests, your work, and that will invite the other person to do the same. So that makes it a whole lot easier to chat up that perfect stranger standing next to you that you don't know and have a real conversation. And you can do this at any point in the conference. If it's early, it can be about what to expect or what you're hoping to do or see. If it's later on in the conference, you can share, I really loved that keynote, and share some insights that you got from that. The people around you clearly have similar interests, or they would not also be at this conference. So you already got common ground to start a conversation without having to work too hard at it. Make sure that you attend all of the networking events. No room service in the hotel room, because that's not how you're going to meet people. Go out, attend those events. Make sure you are showing up at these things and talking to people. See if maybe your college is having an alumni event at the conference, or a professional organization that you're part of is having an event at the conference. Make sure you go to those, because you've been following my advice on the podcast over the years. You know that one of the biggest career advancement things you can do is to get engaged with professional organizations. You've been doing that. You might find people you know from those organizations, and maybe you've only worked with them virtually because they live on the other side of the country, and now you get a face-to-face meeting. You might even reach out to people that you know are going. Every conference usually has an app, and there's a place in those apps where you can look up who's going to be at the conference. Take the time to scroll through that app and see if there's anybody you know, and reach out to them ahead of time. Plan to get a drink together or have breakfast together. Use that opportunity to build those relationships, to strengthen your network, to get the most out of attending the conference, more than just showing up at the education sessions and learning. I'd also say if you went to a session that was a real wow session for you, stick around after the speakers are done and go talk to them. Get their card. Tell them what you appreciated about what they shared. Ask them a question, and then follow up when you get back. Keep building that relationship. Often you can ask them to share some of their work. You can connect with them on LinkedIn. You can also see what clients you know are attending that conference using those apps, and maybe reach out to some of the people you maybe already work with who are going to be there, and again, spend time with them. If you want to have interesting conversations that don't feel like agony, think about the ways that you are an interesting person. What's the last good book you've read? Last thing you binge watched on Netflix? Vacation you might have taken? When you live a rich, full life, which if you are part of this community, you know that is the best thing you can do to be innovative, creative, and fresh in your thinking anyway. Maybe jot a few of those things down and use them as conversation prompts. It's amazing what can happen when you just mention a really good movie you've seen lately, and the other person may have seen it too, and conversation will flow from there. So you don't have to make inane comments about the weather or be the funniest person in the room. You just have to have an interesting thing to say, an unusual hobby,
and you'd be surprised how easily conversation will flow from there.
Lastly, don't forget you're in a new city. If you do have the occasion to go out for a drink or get coffee or have a meal by yourself, make sure you go out to do it. Sit at the bar. Sit where there's already people gathering who might be by themselves as well. Tell them that you're visiting a new city. Ask for recommendations. Tell them what you're there for. See if they're also attending the conference. It's really easy when you have the pretext of being in a new city and just there for a few days to get away with being by yourself and striking up a conversation in a way that isn't going to reveal too much and open you up to creepy people that are stalking you, but that is going to let you make some genuine connections and practice those conversation skills for when you get to the conference. All right, everyone. I hope that these questions, which I've heard in multiple forms from so many of you over the years, really helps you to get the most out of your conference experience. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, rate, and review. And most importantly, share this podcast with a friend. It really does help more people to find our community and be a part of it. Thank you, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. If you want even more content, head on over to architectingpodcast.com and subscribe to my newsletter and get some great free downloads while you're there. Be sure to follow me on social media. On Instagram at Architecting Podcast, Facebook and LinkedIn pages are Architecting, and the YouTube channel Architecting Podcast. Stay inspired.